Mr. Hour.
No, Mr. I was just sitting down.
We have lots of questions.
I figured. Now we're good. Bill Ayers, Administrator of Hay County Health Department. Um, COVID's going to rear its head. I mean, I don't think it's going to rear its head to where it was, but we are seeing some COVID cases. We are hearing about, some people getting put in the hospital, but it's not where it was. Um, I hear rumors personally, not professionally, that we're going to institute masks and all that stuff again. That's not coming from the health department. Now, businesses, agencies, private people, they can do what they want. If they require you to wear a mask in the courthouse, then that's on you guys. But I don't think it'll even be anything that comes down from the state level or the county health department level. We will have new COVID vaccine available towards the end of the month, hopefully. We have flu shots. We'll start giving them probably around the first week in October. Our health officer, Dr. Benson Haver, doesn't like us to start too early because he says the immunity wanes, and it does. Besides that, animal bites are still a pain in the butt. I don't even know what to do. I honestly just don't know. Just deal with it, I guess. Besides that, I'll open up to questions from you guys.
What's your restriction on COVID if somebody has it 5 days?
Yes. 5 days. Then there's to wear a mask for the next 5. If they're still showing any symptoms, so on and so forth. I mean, it's out there. It's going to be something we end up dealing with. I mean, that's just the way it is. The latest information I'm getting is this new SARS, whatever it is. I can't even keep up with it anymore. But it's showing in laboratory testing not to be as bad as everybody's putting it out. Don't get me wrong, it can still get you and still make you sick, so on and so forth, but it's not like killing people like the original COVID before we had any vaccines and boosters.
Now, on the animal bites here, like, what's the issue that's causing the animal bites? Like,
the amount of them, sir. I mean, here's the thing: anytime someone gets bit by an animal and goes to the doctor, by law and code, they have to send a report to the health department. Well, then we have to investigate whether that animal. Well, let me back up for a second. Whether it has rabies shots or not, that animal has to be confined for 10 days. Okay. So then we have to do an investigation process. What we're after, and we actually got very lucky. I was telling Commissioner Workman, he stopped in and seen me about a month ago. We had a stray cat bite a child. Luckily, they were smart enough to get the cat and bring it to us. I mean, it was euthanized and they brought it to us. That cat had rabies. But luckily we got that child started on rabies shots soon enough. But we just have to investigate to make sure that we can prevent as much as we can that happening to normal people.
you think it's stray cats and stray dogs? That's what's
That's not what's causing the animal bites. I mean, some of them, the cats, a lot of them own dogs, biting family members. It's just a million crazy things. Stepping on a cat's tail and it bites you. 2 of your dogs get in a fight, you try to break it up and they bite you. And then you end up going to the doctor. Family members come in over the week. I had like 5 on my desk this morning. Family members come in for the weekend. Dog not used to one of the kids, bites it. And a lot of, in defense, a lot of it gets blamed on the animal, and a lot of it's the human participant. But it's just, it's September, and I guarantee you I've already had 150. at least. I mean, we can't do the dot the I cross the T process that needs to be done. I look through them, make a lot of phone calls. If the animal hasn't had contact with a rabbit animal, let's say your cat lives inside and never goes outside and it bites somebody. Well, the cat's never been outside, so the chances that cat has rabies is pretty low. Alright, but now if it's an indoor-outdoor cat, and you wake up and it bites somebody, but then you discover it had a bite on it, okay, well, it's a cat. And then we go.
So like more resources are needed by the health department to deal with it, that's what.
And that's not gonna happen. I mean, I'll be honest with you, my budget's not going to do that. So, I'm just gonna continue doing what I'm doing, and it's just a problem. Animal owners, I don't know. Common sense needs to come back into play somewhere. I mean, if your dog's not used to being around kids, or your cat's not used to being around kids, and you got your brother's kids coming over, put them away. Keep them away. Two dogs getting a fight.
I have had conversations.
I hate this all the time, I'm sure.
If they haven't paid their dog tax, if they haven't had their animal vaccinated and they've bitten somebody, are there laws on the books?
Absolutely.
There are. They can be cited and fined, and, obviously, that's an option.
But he's like, hey, how many staff has he got to go run all over the county?
150 calls.
I mean, because if we did it, if I did it by the book, I would have to go, let's say, for instance, Chieftain lives in the house. I would have to go, and his dog bit somebody. I would have to go to his house the first time to make sure that he has the dog quarantined properly. Then I got to go 10 days later to look at that dog again and make sure the dog's okay and release it. All right? I don't have the time to do that, especially if I get 6, 7, 8 in a week scattered all over the county and the end of the heat. He don't have the resources to do. I mean, we do the best we can, but I'm sure we got some falling through the cracks.
Those are all things, as we grow, we need to get those on the radar screen and look for ways to more effectively address that.
Yeah.
At least for the time being, we'll do the best we can.
Well, that's like your Airbnbs. I mean, legally they're popping up all over. I mean, legally I could permit them. But I'd have to hire another person. And I'm only going to get $10,000 to $11,000 worth of fees out of a year, and that person's going to cost me $50,000. Doesn't make sense from a financial aspect to do it. So
That's a battle we face every day.
every day, I try to be a good steward of the county's money.
And we appreciate that.
Yes, sir. But besides that, no, I'm good.
We appreciate it, Bill.
I appreciate you guys very, very much. But Mally, no more. Y'all have, I don't know if I'll take that to me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sheriff?
Let's see what you got to do.
Sheriff Steve Dalton, Hardy County Sheriff. Of course, you heard the call volume and stuff. The reason why our calls are so high in the city is so low, but they're mainly about 4 people now. We've been running calls for them pretty much every night, because I keep somebody out at 4 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of times somebody comes out before, and then we're till 2 the next afternoon, so if we're not tied up on something else, we just take their call rather than call in and out, so that's why the volume running the way it is. As far as case we had last month, the drug task force, William Flynn Jr., age 44, Moorfield, pled guilty to possession with intent to distribute more than 50 grams of methamphetamine to federal court of possession of a firearm to further the drug crime. He faced at least 10 years up to life in prison for the drug charges and at least 5 years up to life in prison for the firearm charges. So they're handing down stiff sentences. Keisha Ray Oline, 33, of Moorfield, was sentenced to 11 years in prison for distribution of methamphetamine and possession of firearm furtherance of the crime. And last month, we had one federal arrest, one federal indictment, 3 federal pleas, which is Brenda Sands, William Flynn, and Jeff Rogers. One already talked about the Oakline, where she was sentenced, and that's just for August. There's something else we need to look about, I've talked to the city about this, I think you talked about it before, I haven't actually been over there till last week, I was looking for a stolen vehicle, and you go over there, but that section of property, they tell Wilson, you turn back in, get by Burger King, get back to the dike, look back in there must be 40 campers and trailers, all kinds of people living there, it looks like one of these places like you see in third world country, where they've got holes dug down around that pipe running in sewage going into a place where they burn and trash, it's just a mess over there, and some of the drug people we deal with living over there in Kansas City, we were talking to Steve Riddle, and it might be a good idea to get the dealer on all that, or we go these days, you got a lot of people, so see a lot of people where I don't know, stuff like tattoos and tears there on their face, that's a good sign that they're, have been in prison, that we'll just start running those people, see how many of them might be wanted somewhere, and try to get something done, clean that mess up. Well, this is just a damn horrible thing, it's just a horrible criminal over there. I couldn't believe when I saw it, I hadn't been in there, where I thought the other end, I was in there quite a bit, nice and clean, that place over there is something else. You get turned like you go like past Burger King. Yeah, it's in the town. Yeah. Getting back through there onto the dike, and they just got a bunch of junk back in there, people living in there, and I think they're charging, I think HL's charging $500 a year for them to set up a camp in there, and they're just what they're doing. It's really a habitat for drug users, several of them live there, our drug people we deal with all the time. We would like what Bill's talking about, dog fights and stuff too, generally, when we've been involved in it, most of the time, we get there and it's usually a bunch of criminals, a pit bull or something like that, and we end up arresting them anyway and taking the dogs, so it seems like the last several we've had, that's what's been the situation with that. It seems like all these drug guys, they have pit bulls and stuff like that, they're pretty vicious, most of them are. I think they use that as an intimidation factor, and if people don't know you to stop because they have to. But other than that, we've got several applications this time. I don't know anybody certified, but we've got some people that look like they're interested in coming to work, so hopefully we'll find a good candidate out there. I was explaining to the commission we're working this morning, it's been really hard to compete with what they're offering a lot of these places. I saw this morning in West Virginia Metro News, and Elton PD offering a hiring incentive for people that are already certified of $15,000 to sign on, and if they do 2 years of service and have a good clean record, they're paying another $5,000 on top of what they made as far as wages go. But if they don't finish their 2 years, they got 2 years to pay the money back. But it's hard to compete with that. Even on uncertified offering, if they're offering a $3,000 sign-on bonus, plus send them to the academy, successfully complete the academy, they're going to get $1,500 more in addition to what they're getting paid. So we're going to keep it tougher and tougher to keep people like that.
I don't know about the sheriff's department, but I know different state agencies are getting grants because it's happening in the health department also, because Jefferson and Martinsburg, or Jefferson, Berkeley County, they're training people, and that same thing, they're losing across the state line. So, and that's happening in all surrounding areas of the state. But long story short, they made some grants available to health departments, so on and so forth. They call it infrastructure grant, that you can either build you can hire new people with it, or you can pay your opens a kind of a bonus for staying. So I don't know if that's something somebody would look into for your office or not.
It'd be nice if they could do something like that, this overall grant, they got all these billions of dollars, what they're proposing doesn't help us a bit. You know, we need manpower, it'd be good to have all that other stuff, but you know, everybody up to enforce laws and catch you people. It'd be nice if they could figure out a way to do something like that. But the worst thing about grants is grants run out once you start paying that kind of money and fall on the county, then you're going to keep that.
We do need to be following up on this first foundation. No matter what, we do need to be doing that. Of course, we had Tim Sayed here to talk about it. I think his philosophy probably is pretty closely aligned to yours. Okay, and that's an important thing because we heard many different philosophies when we actually went to the meeting.
Yeah, I want to hear what he had to say. I got called out that morning.
Well,
Had
he
leave.
would be, he would be a person for you to talk to, because there's $1 billion in this. So, and, one of the governor named the five additional board members coming from the governor's office. One of them is Greg Duckworth, who you know, who's retired state police.
Yeah.
He's one of those board members.
And
Jefferson had another one, and he's a county commissioner as well, out of Raleigh County. Another one's Matt Harvey out of Jefferson County. He's a prosecutor there. He's been named he's one of the board members on this First Foundation. I don't know the others, but
it's good to see some real people on that board.
Yeah.
I mean, not just,
but I do like that, what you're saying, because that's like an answer to it. We got to figure out answers to okay, and you are mentioning one down there, to those places. We're going to hear it in our planning office is going to use that as a justification for the new, I'm pretty certain, for, the new amendments to the short-term rentals. Okay, not amendments to the comprehensive plan, amendments to our zoning for short-term rentals. That's with the planning office. Now, this that you're talking about is in town, right? This is different, because part of that place is in the county, and part of it's in the town.
Yeah, what's in the county is real clean and nice, but what's in town is just a mess.
But you are thinking seriously about going down there and.
Yeah, I'm looking at what maybe try to do it on Wednesday, that's not having those kind of people out. So we're short today and tomorrow to get, DNR to come down too, because they enforce environmental laws. Just what I saw on there, your Canada, they were in sloughs and like you can't burn tracks or burn or all stuff down there.
If you set it up and you want me to kind of, maybe we can reach out to DEP, we can just roll.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
Another thing would be to make it, because if he's charging $500 a year, that's never going to stop.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, it facilitates the whole problem.
I didn't know it was there, you know.
and if it continues, then it spreads.
yeah. I mean, it's
It's only gonna grow.
It's got a whole community, for sure, certainly.
Well,
They're
I'll
gonna
do,
have Viruses and diseases and everything.
And this is another case where the county and the town should work together on some of these regulatory things, like in the modifications to the camping.
Well, why don't you talk to the new zoning officers or the new officers the town has, Andy Greenwald and Aaron Freight? They would be 2 points of contact. They're going around and saying,
Yeah, I don't know why this place hasn't gotten dinged yet by the.
Well, not one, I'm scared to go there, it's like he said, I mean, I'm going there about him, I'll tell you that.
But this is in Flintstone too, isn't it?
Yes. It's part of it is behind the dike, so it's in the, flood management area.
You can't
see from the road?
no.
It's like Cottle Hollow, I've done Cottle Hollow without one of them. I didn't know.
Well, what I'll do, I'll see if I can coordinate with the city and DNR, and I'll get in touch with you two, Bill, and maybe we can go down there and just see what we can get into.
No, we'll get into a lot.
Even recommended have a list. Planning side, because part of it is county.
Well, it's one of them, it's easy to ignore something if you don't know about it. Now that we know about it, let's go
That's
and show them we ain't gonna put up that shit.
But it's hard to enforce regulatory elsewhere if that one sits there.
Yeah. It was crazy though, I didn't know anything about it. And evidently you did.
And I didn't know anything about it either till I was looking at that Jesus and told me, and we'll go back and I'm like, a good place. I thought, wow, what a mess this is.
How many trailers are back in there?
I think trailers and tents, probably 30 anyway. They got like pipe running out of the holes in the ground, the sewage going into them. You just have to see it.
wonderful for our river and wildlife.
Well, I get a little upset because this stays in this room, but a person that let something like that happen. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's all right, I'm still, but that's not good for somebody that let that happen on the property. If you're gonna do it, then let it be
No, it's not.
good, right?
And to know about it.
Right.
Something not to know about it, but no.
Have any other questions?
I don't know when you wanna manage that, cause if you're only getting 500, they don't pay for anything, so there's no real reason for it. The only thing it's serving for is a haven for
Yeah.
the city of Illinois.
Well, yeah, if you got 30 places, $500, you don't have to do anything with it, it just sits there, pays taxes.
That's like the only reason for it,
Yeah.
because no one could be managing it or putting any kind of time into it. Cause it wouldn't justify, it just justifies the payment.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought it up though, cause it does get brought up in the planning commission meetings often, that we have this going on.
How many would appear that they are year-round residents?
It's hard to tell because a lot of the criminals we deal with, they're in and out in jail. You know, that's what they do in the winter time because some of them are Kens and stuff like that. I don't know how long they would be there year round. Mad at any of them all the time.
Thank you, sir. I have a county ordinance, or not, correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause I'm not on the planning commission. But I thought there was an ordinance in the county that a camper could only set for 10 months. And then it had to be moved, pulled out.
That's what basically is being proposed now.
So we did have, but that's what we're proposing now. See, I always was under the impression that was the way it had to be anyway.
And there's other floodplain ordinance about that.
Yeah, floodplain is different than the rest of the county. Floodplain falls under FEMA, and there is, you do have that limit of days there, but, there are workarounds.
But see, guys, here's gonna be another issue, and I apologize. But we can change everything we want. But if we don't have the people to enforce it, it's not worth paying for it. And right now, I mean, there's the regulatory agencies in Hardin County are slim. I mean, we're stretched, we're slim. As far as actual people with feet on the ground out doing it.
But the difference though is that if you do have ordinances and you discover those entities, you have a means by which to do something with them. You have, rules, laws that you
Right.
can use to hopefully correct. If you have none, then what do?
I guess my question's gonna be, you take his office, you take my office, the town police. I don't know how many of them we're actually gonna be able to get to. They're not gonna be a priority. You know what I'm
So
saying?
I think that once you make an example, you somewhat help to ease the problem down the road. Because there is a path and people become, the criminal's always gonna be a criminal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but the semi-criminal who thinks he may be prosecuted for something that he's doing, may not do it.
Cause I'm sure we got more than this.
Right.
I mean, right now, the building.
I don't think we have anything like that.
I don't think we have any.
Not like that, but I mean, the thing with the out counters now, which drives me absolutely insane, there's nothing I can do with it, is they wanna buy a shed and they wanna do primitive. They want no water, no sewage, run off the generator, the whole 9 yards. And I can't turn it down. I cannot turn it down. If they have no running water, then they don't have to have a sewage system, and I can't not sign off on their building.
Do you still require them to have an outdoor privy of some sort?
Yes, I can. But and they're starting to build now.
But that's still better than one behind the tree.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But then my problem with it is, it's easy afterward to install system, install indoor plumbing, run off the generator, haul your water, and basically you're, unless I get a complaint, I'm not gonna know that it happened.
Right.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Mally Collins. Mally, RDA board reappointments and resolutions.
There you go. Teresa has a copy of those. The appointments are the two that are in the letter, and the resolutions are in regard to signing for grants and funding. And then we also, requested earlier this morning if we could have a special meeting on September the 15th at 4 p.m.
Yes,
to address the bonds for the Hardin County Health Department project.
yes.
And we will need to have motions for both reappointments as well as the resolutions.
Okay, I'm looking for that letter for the reappointments, and I don't see that on that in your right? You may have that back there.
Did not bring a copy, I believe I have it.
But it's,
You sure I didn't know the cover?
Yeah, there were 2 resolutions and 1 letter for the.
Oh, Derek or Roy or Tim
Yeah.
Powers.
That's it.
There,
Yeah.
Boyd, and Tim.
And we can do the motion, we can do the motion for all of them, right?
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we approve the RDA reappointment of board members Derek Barr, Roy Harper, and Tim Collins with a term to expire August 31st, 2026.
You say those names again?
Yes, Derek Barr, Derek, and Barr with 2 R's at the end, Roy Harper, and Tim Collins, Cullers.
You want to stop there, or you want to keep going on the resolution?
Okay, yeah, sure, I can,
Well, okay, if we need to do, I'll second this one, and, like I say, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote all those in favor, signify by saying aye. 2 ayes, 2 members voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
then we're, the resolution,
We have 2 resolutions, one for the local economic development grant program, and the other is,
For the
to
industrial.
authorize, submission of, $400,000 grant for the, industrial access road.
Industrial Park Road access funding, yes, which is the final amount that we need for.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve both these resolutions.
All right, I second it. Been properly seconded. Any further discussion? Any other comments? Or
No, just
any other
the special meeting that we need to get
Special
that
meeting.
done
Special meeting, and, yeah, I'm good with that meeting.
before. And then also to transfer the deed from the commission to the RDO, as we're getting ready to do the closing.
We'll receive
Did
votes
you
on
coordinate that with James?
motion on the resolutions. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, 2 ayes, the ayes have it, motion carries.
Transferring the health department project to the RDO out of the county commission.
Currently, that needs in the name of the county commission for the property there on Jackson Avenue.
Yeah, and we have all funding in the name of the development.
All funding there, so can we proceed to get that done? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, the 4-H.
Oh, yes, I've got that, I kinda added that to my list of things at the end.
4-H, and then also the, Summit Bank purchase also, for those that are not aware.
Yeah, that's, Summit Bank is merging with Burke and Herbert.
Burke and Herbert to
Burke
merge
and
with.
Herbert, merging with Summit Community Bank, to
Are you aware
expand
of that?
there. So,
Yes,
yes,
it
yes.
is.
You know how much work operates, don't you?
No.
He's a good banker, you know, takes care of the people, but he drives an old car and he dresses up like an old crazy man.
Well, that's who's purchasing something.
We
You're buying Summit?
They're merging, yeah.
They're buying stock.
So it's Summit?
Probably not, it'll probably have a new name.
It'll be Burke and Herb.
Yeah.
They've been around since 18
They
something,
have been around.
and they're gonna keep the
And
name.
the stock is higher. It's higher, stock
Can
purchase.
I ask a stupid question? I'm not a finance person. So I have CDs to the health department today.
To keep this.
But do we have to do anything?
Actually, it's not going to take effect until the first quarter of 2024. I just found out about it, just wanted to make sure you all were aware, and then also the meeting for the quarter H that's scheduled for September 21st.
Yes.
Those these mergers are a way to do a sort of a data dump, get rid of the
for senior people. I mean, that's why they do it. Save a lot of money that way.
I forget how many additional ranches will that give them?
I'm just wondering if they'll keep all of them. Even Charleston? See, I assumed that they would probably not keep some of those.
They will expand the footprint.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen,
Thank you.
for the artifacts,
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the reappointments to the Hardee County Parks and Rec Commission. And that's recommended that Margaret Schreiber, Dixie Dean, Melvin Shook, Jerry Langen, and Bob Taylor be reappointed to the Park Board for terms. And I forget what the dates of his terms are.
It's in an email, he didn't
Yeah.
give me a letter.
But reappoint them. So, all right, I'll second that. Move to second. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
2 ayes, the ayes have it. Motion carries. Melissa is not here, but Greg Greenwald is, so.
Yes, unfortunately. All news ones. You had someone who was very intelligent here to discuss things with you. Now you have an old dumb country race, so just have patience. I think she presented the commission with a request from the planning commission to consider modifications to the zoning ordinance pertaining predominantly to the camping issue. And the small structures. So I think that basically was pretty well self-explanatory that I know you asked a question, so Greg, I think, did you find out the requirements he'd asked you when?
But I don't see that, only thing I'm finding on, cause this is a text amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Yes.
There, must hold a public hearing within 60 days.
You can look it up now, so it must within 60 days, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything about letters? Do we need to send an email?
No,
No.
because it's about petition.
Yeah, because there are two ways to do an amendment to the zoning. One of them is by the request by petition from the planning commission. The other is actually a request 50% plus of the outstanding residents of the county. And obviously, this is a petition from the planning commission. And in doing so, it bypasses the requirement to have an election.
It's an interesting thing, though. It's interesting.
Yeah. But that is, if you want to look it up, Steve, it's in AA-7-9 of the code.
That could be something that we want to do, we want to have on the agenda, to see which way the planning commission wanted to do.
They're presented.
They already presented it. They did
They
it.
said, yeah, I've seen the petition.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
That's the way they're going.
Yeah.
I know, I'm on the planning.
Yeah, trying to do it.
But I didn't vote for a petition.
He abstained because as a county representative, he'd have to re-vote it again as a commissioner. He would not, right, so he abstained from voting in the planning commission on the issue. But the planning commission did indeed have a resolution, they did vote on it, and they voted to make those recommendations officially to the government.
So, but just getting back to it, like we have, let's see here, so we have to have, run it for 2 weeks. So basically, we need to make a motion to start running it now, and then we need to set a date for our own public hearing. That's kind of what we need to do. We just need to do that. Okay, so.
Does the planning commission have to have a hearing?
They have had that here. They've already had theirs, yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, I knew that there was some kind of forwarding.
Now,
Actually-
as part of the amendments that are being presented,
Mm-hmm.
they're the agricultural
Yeah.
exemptions as well,
Yeah,
correct?
the modifications that were made by the request of the county commission was incorporated into the notice that was sent.
So like electricity is not infrastructure.
It was not. The thing that actually the planning commissions had two public hearings. We had the first prior to, and then with those modifications, we had a second one to incorporate those.
But we just have to have, for now, it's just.
Yeah,
it's
for now, the
it's just
best-
asking for the public hearing.
Right, the best thing right now, my recommendation is that the governing body does have a public hearing to gain the input of the public, pro or con, whatever they are. And then you, as the governing body, can make modifications or recommendations back to the planning commission for consideration and for adoption, which if indeed they did agree, would support and send those back to the governing body for consideration. So it's a whole long process.
So if this motion goes forward today, it would have to be run in the local paper on the 13th and the 20th.
Really only needs class one, we'll run it twice, because we really need to run it once.
Right.
And that
So
clock starts on the first run.
Okay, so we could have the public hearing in October.
Yes. It has to run 15 days, the first, class one has to run 15 days at least prior to the public hearing. It could be on October's, agenda.
Public hearing. Well, at the normal commission meeting, I don't think we should do that.
No,
We should give
no.
it an
Give
evening
it a
where
separate
people are able to
evening.
come to it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be in the best interest of the public to be heard.
Yes. We could have it, the planning commission meeting is that evening. So we need to have it a different evening than that.
Could be the week of the 25th,
I'm looking at the week of the 23rd to the 27th of October.
Oh, that's September.
Okay.
Sorry.
27th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it could be to September 25th.
What about Tuesday, October 24th?
Yeah.
Tuesday, October 24th, like 6? Do you want to do it then?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a long, that's too far.
Too far out?
That's too far out.
Then, yeah. Well, it's 60
That's
days.
within 60 days.
60 days.
So that is good, right?
24th? Will that fall within the code?
Yeah.
I mean, that's within 60 days of the, airing, or the announcement. The airing of the announcement.
You may also want to note where people can get access to the information of what's being proposed for
Well,
changes.
okay, so is this up online now? All the,
I can't answer that. I
because
do not.
I've thought about that several times, it was a process, like now.
Yeah, and I know that would be the intent, but I think that until they actually knew what you all, until you actually, do you want to go that far, or do you want to back it up a little bit?
I'd be fine with going that far.
I'm good with going that far too, because
Okay.
October, the first part of October is a busy time for me, for a lot of reasons. Harvest and a bunch of others.
But also, will we have an RDA meeting? Because this is something like, that, it has to do with.
28.
Yeah.
So we will have one, and this could be our agenda, this
Yeah,
could be.
if we could get the information.
Let me see some, we'll be able to know, okay. I'm looking at the website, let's see.
I'm sure Melissa could get it on there.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, but I think it was until we actually knew what the intentions.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is up now.
So the 25th,
26?
26th, is that what we said? I thought you said the 24th.
24th, yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
24 to 6
Tuesday,
p.m.
24th at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Are we gonna have it in the planning commission room? Are we gonna have it in here?
This would be the county commission's public hearing. We already had one. I'd say we should have it here.
Okay.
Have it here.
Mallory, am I getting you this information, or are you gonna get that from the?
I'll see that we send it to you.
You'll
Mine
send
just
it to
forwarded
Wendy,
what
then
she
Wendy,
said.
then I can copy it and have it ready for her.
You should have thought.
I didn't know about Mallory's farms.
Yeah, I'll make sure we send it to you.
That way we can copy it.
Right.
Greg, I'm a little around here on the axles, there's about campgrounds and such.
Campgrounds
There's
are
two
small,
Building.
Okay.
small houses.
Right.
Well, like, and I would say it's three separate. So this is about the multi-unit residential dwelling areas.
Correct.
Then the, campers on agricultural land as an accessory use to an agricultural operation. And then commercial campgrounds. Three different
Issues.
Issues.
Which is all that,
What's that?
which is all HOS say. This is my stuff down here is an accessory to agriculture.
Well, but the difference down there is it will fall within the floodplain, which changes it
It does.
completely.
In the floodplain, isn't it?
Yeah, anything on the dike to the river.
That was a flowways, which means the water gets up. And there is a difference between floodplain and flowway.
It's what,
But anything from the dike to the river is floodplain.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Right.
floodplain, but that actually is flowway.
Right. Yeah, that's a problem down there for a lot of different reasons. Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Sheikman, would you make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I make a motion that, the county commission sets a date for the public hearing, that is Tuesday, October 24th at 6 p.m. here in the county commission chambers.
To hear
To
the
hear
public's input on
Yeah.
the
the revision.
petition from the planning commission, to,
Zoning ordinance amendments.
amend the zoning ordinance, regarding campgrounds, agricultural exemptions for campgrounds, and the multi-use residential
Greg, can I
facilities.
I just want to bring something up, like
Yeah.
what my thinking would be, and the reason I wanted to stress that I didn't vote for that, because it could have been that we would have voted to send out notices, of it. It would be another way that would have been put forward, and it would have definitely informed more people of it, and I would have had more.
I'll second the motion that Commissioner Sheikman's made. Any further discussion? Do you want to request the planning commission send this to existing campgrounds?
Well, the other question would be, because I called Greg and we were talking about it, like, because you could also, like, agricultural operations are also affected by this. Because what if some farmer wanted to have an accessory use? Well, you need to send it to all these farmers as well, right? Is that true?
I thought we got a map change in it.
Right. Yeah, we're not making any modifications to the
I
map.
think I know this.
No,
As
no.
far as I'm aware.
Right.
If there's a map change.
What is the code reading? What is it saying?
Which part?
What's it referencing when the letters, like, why is it saying sending the letters? It's like, it also uses the word directly,
Resident
like,
to the zoning ordinance involves a change in the zoning map classification.
and it does say directly, doesn't it? Doesn't it say directly? Now, that's what would take away that we wouldn't really need to send it to all these people you could possibly think they maybe need to get to
For
receive.
text regimes, changes allowed.
Yeah. And we went through this with the previous modification zoning, and we actually reached out to the law clinic, and it is the request by petition by the planning commission exempts you from that prior notification that you're talking about. We went through this because of the modification we did for the teats, for the butcher operation, to make sure that we were not required by code, and we're not, according to the WV Law Clinic, that we were only notified because we're doing it by petition from the planning commission. That's one of the two ways of doing it.
Yeah, because you you'd have to literally send one to every person who owns a piece of ground in the county.
Are you saying with this code you
No.
would?
No, what we're
If you
doing,
wanted
we
to
do
send
not.
letters, you'd be required to send one to every person in the county.
And that would be very costly and time consuming. And like what was discussed previously, we really don't have the staff to do that.
Or
I-
you just have to hire somebody to do taxes.
And I think the public notice that we're doing is what we did obviously previously for the modifications and that was sufficient.
One of the things that was kind of interesting, I went to a wedding reception this weekend, and the farm that it was on in Warren County, Virginia, where you turned in to go into this venue, had a sign posted at the end that says the Warren County Planning Commission will be holding public hearing regarding a change of zoning classification for this property on such and such a date. It was written in there, and then by authority of the Warren County Planning.
And we must always remember, what these modifications are does not exempt the applicant from an appeal process to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Absolutely.
So there is still processes there.
No, yes,
Yeah.
that's true, but you're putting the responsibility on them. And there's definitely a difference there.
Yeah.
Like for me personally,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to make a law and then tell, because you're leaving it up then to the discretion of people who are there currently on it, but you're setting an amendment that's forever, and they're not always going to be there. And so, to me, I understand what you mean, and that's one way to say, well, there's still something, there's still an avenue.
Right.
But it's different than if someone doesn't have to do that appeal.
Right.
There's a difference.
But also will beg to differ with you of it being a permit, it is not. All code is always modifiable. And in this particular case, as you all are aware, we are working on a modification now of where we will start to work on the full zoning modifications probably 2 years from now. So this will be revisited as a part of that package at that time. But it fills a void now where we have nothing. And by not having nothing, it could potentially allow more of the situation at HLs to spread throughout the county if we did nothing at all.
No, it's a good point you're making. It's
Yeah.
a worthwhile point, but at the same time, we don't have means of enforcement, as we've just heard, and that
Right.
also creates a problem.
And-
Because and I thought about it, because you mentioned this kit, the point you made to me was, because I had a long conversation with you about
Yes, we did.
was about, it's a tool.
It's a tool.
That's a good point. Then the planning commission has a tool. And then so I started, just trying to think about that. Okay, so there's a tool there, but then we have this problem. There's no one to actually use the tool. And so I worry it would be used not consistently, because we can then pull it out because we don't have enough resources for the person to use it consistently. We don't have someone dedicated to it. And so you have inconsistent use of the tool. That's a point.
But by the same token, because you do have a toolbox with the tool in it, it gives the county the perspective that if indeed it became a problem, they may hire temporary or outside individuals or organizations to enforce the code. But if you have no code to enforce, then it's a new issue.
Did you all talk in the last meeting about having the board of realtors, or Williams did?
Yes.
Yes.
And did he follow through on that?
I don't know on that. I haven't heard.
That'd be an enforcement tool.
Well,
You can't approve the sale unless you do this.
yeah. This is not, it's just like a lot of the other things that's in the book that Greg has, they're there. And if you do not have a means by which to address a potential issue, then you have no ability to make change. So it is an ability that by putting the tool in the box, it gives you the perspective that you have, and that in itself sometimes is enough to cause people to do the right thing. And yeah, well, you have violations. Yeah, we have a book full of laws, and we have violations. If we did not have any, we would not have need of the sheriff's department or the state police or any of those other entities.
And you know, another part, as we look at this, whenever a public hearing, like, we're gonna have to reach out for some legal advice on this. We're gonna have to have legal advice, but we're gonna have to have a attorney go over it. Because that was something that wasn't, as I understand it, we did reach out to the WVU Law Clinic. Right
Yes.
now, the WVU Law Clinic is also overtaxed. Okay, they don't have the resources that they were initially set up to have.
Right.
And so there has to be an attorney has to also be part of this process. I think, you know, to really look at it and, you know, to be able to tell people how this changes. Like if I'm talking to a person who's thinking about buying property here, well, what's the difference between then and this new law? You know, being able to explain very clearly. And I always thought a table would be very helpful, and that's why I'd ask about a list. If we're actually trying to help people, we want to make the law clear to them. And a table would do that. Like that's what many, and that creates work for people. So I'm not trying to, I'm just saying we are always going to come up against this personnel to create all these things to actually help people. But we need to think about all those things before, you know, we amend codes for sure. That, you know, just want to have that input as part of the discussion.
Any other discussion?
So Greg, when will it be available online so people can go online and look for it? I mean, we want to have a hard copy so we can copy it for the RDA, but you want to make sure people have access to it.
Probably, we have planning commission meeting tonight.
Okay.
And I think that we did not necessarily want to, I think, put it there until we had, direction from the governing body as to what direction they wanted to go. So now that we have, and they have the document that was presented and they set a hearing date for that document, I think we can now advertise that document. Because there's multiple versions of what we worked on.
Okay, and on the proposed document, you'll have what we currently have and then what's being recommended for change?
Yeah, I think that that's what she had presented
Because that's
to you
actually
all in
what
letter
that's
form,
what
did she
the
not?
code
Yeah.
structure would do.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
and-
It is in red. That is
Right, that's what we did. Right. I just want to make sure she had sent that to you. Those proposed changes, I think, in balance to what was, correct? Yeah.
The red, like the,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor at this time, say aye. Aye. Two ayes, the ayes have it. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And I will relay that to the planning commission
Yes,
this evening.
tonight, go ahead and we'll count on you all to get that put on the board, and we've got the date of October 24th.
We will take care of getting it publicized.
Our hearing and get the information out in the hands of the public. Good deal, thank you. Wendy, our solid waste authority board appointment, do we have a taker on that yet? Okay. We do have an opening on our solid waste authority board from Hardy County, and we were looking at a couple of candidates, and the one turned us down, and I'm not sure we have word from the other yet, so we'll keep working on that. We have a couple of estimates for our bat remediation problem here in the courthouse. And our window of time is kind of running short, but we do have in the attic of the Hardy County Courthouse a sizable accumulation of bat guano, and it is causing some odor issues as well as some issues with bats obviously entering the building, and they sometimes escape into the courthouse and have to be removed one way or the other. But we've received, I believe, am I correct, 2 estimates?
And they're for different work, but 2 total estimates, yes.
2 total estimates for work for this. Just to give us some idea. We also questioned the courthouse.
They're good.
Yeah, courthouse security or courthouse improvement grants.
We're
as a possibility. And also, we checked with our insurer to see
And they're still in the process of looking at it. The insurance company the gentleman did reach out to me on Thursday, and he said that most likely with the clause that our policy has on it, or has in it, whichever you wanna say, that it probably would not cover. But they were gonna submit it out to the people that need to do the research. He said he would try to let me know on Friday. I didn't hear anything from him Friday, and I have yet to hear anything, so.
Okay. They brought it out.
That was under the recommendation of the gentleman that, the last estimate, I think that gentleman had mentioned it to Melvin, that some people do turn this into insurances. So we thought, we would try it just to see. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
go through and look at our clauses or anything on our policy, but that's where that's at right
Well, we have two, and it's apples and oranges. The one estimate is for basically exclusion work only, it appears. Netting, barriers, exclusion, trap out, seal out, and the other one includes not only the exclusion, but also disinfection, insulation removal, disinfectant, parasite treatment, and insulation install, as well as the disposal of the hazardous materials, which it's kind of apples and oranges. Apples and oranges in that regard. Since we anticipate a work session being called before the end of the month, the reason that I mention that is we are operating now within a window of time. We have basically until late October to act on this, otherwise we have to wait till next year. One is because of bat breeding. The second is a result of bat hibernation. And since bats are a protected species in that regard, there are some limitations on the windows of times when we can take corrective actions. So I think we will set a work session before the end of the month, and I would recommend that we hold this over for that work session at this time, because there's probably still a few things we need to. The estimates for anybody that's interested, basically the one just for the exclusion work is about $26,765, and for the exclusion and cleanup disinfection, 46,000 roughly. That's a couple of those things, but obviously something that we need to take care of.
We are also on a time limit
With our courthouse improvement funds, yes.
Which one's that due?
it'll be due in October, so.
In
And
October.
we had to get it submitted.
Yeah, now we do have the estimates, which would be good. 'Cause that
Yes,
would provide.
but we need to make sure that if we're gonna use that one, or if there's something else that's pressing, because I had to contact the historical office to make sure that there's, nothing done to the courthouse. So that it was recommended to figure out which project you want and to submit it, don't submit two.
Yes, that's what I understand as well.
Let's put that on the work session. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. I'll circle that one here. We'll put that one there. Peggy, GIS work. I have estimates for GIS. If you can talk loud enough to get on the microphone.
Yes, I did get one estimate back. It's just for the software itself. It doesn't have anything to do with the upkeep of it. I'm still waiting on that estimate to come back. But the software for the public data is $80, and that's through Esri. Atlas is to give us the how much it would cost to upkeep that and to build it for us.
It's $80 per month.
$80 just for the software, just $80 one shot. Yeah. Yeah, they provide us with the tools, but we have to do the building of it and upkeep of it.
Just the software's $80, and then we don't have an estimate for the
No.
work to do it.
Atlas called me this morning and was going over the information that I had provided to them, what software we were looking at. So he has not been able to run it by his bosses yet to get a good estimate, so
Okay.
I wasn't able to have that one for you.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's we're just kind of waiting.
Yeah,
Waiting
so,
until we get those,
yeah, so let's just, I'll put it on the agenda for next month, that's okay.
Yeah, this is another one of those tools in the box kind
Yes.
of thing that, you know, we see the need and we see how it could benefit us. But we also see that there are a lot of questions yet that we
Yes.
have to address.
Right, no, you're right, and it is a very important one, like to be transparent and to keep people aware of what all we're working on, it's very, very helpful. Just like you meant about having these, because people, okay, if they don't have information, there's a vacuum, and there's gonna be some info that's created, even if it's not true in the vacuum. It's better for us to have everything out there that we're working on, because that's the true story. We're going to schedule this work session for the
Okay.
commission staff, and one good thing that we should work on as part of those work sessions, like this is like an example. You know, we have, a Facebook page, and every month we have a work session, because I'm hoping that's what it becomes, monthly. And so then there can be a report, we had 29 followers this month, then the next month how many, and we'll just show this growth is what we wanted to show.
Okay.
Like things like that will be very important. And then also this project, like a project management sheet that shows, okay, we're here now, and we've gotten this estimate for the software, and then we get, and we're taking these steps to complete these projects. And it'll also help us to have a full look at all these projects we're looking on, and not to let any of them drop, not to drop any ball, but to keep them all somehow or the other over the course of that month, rolling that boulder up the hill, and keeping positive development going. That's what I'm hoping for.
And we're learning how to do that.
We're
too.
learning.
We've had several discussions with the new, now that the new Facebook page has gone forward, actually how and the best way to address some of the concerns that people have posted on there for information, and how we do that, how we best do that, how other jurisdictions and municipalities and others are also addressing that response to social media input. And so, yeah, it's a learning process.
It is. I had training Friday through West Virginia Corp on HR part and social media.
Good.
So that question I did present to them,
Okay.
and they are to get back.
They are?
Yes.
On that specific one,
Yes.
where the question came back to us?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
They are to get back with us how to handle comments coming in and how we should handle them going out.
I talked to a couple of those folks when we were at the meeting in Glade Springs that were there at the table, and they said they'd get back. They knew people handled it different ways.
Yes.
And I said, well, let us know. And I made sure that.
Can I ask maybe one question? The second estimate, okay, what would that cover?
That will cover them building the information out there for us.
They come here.
They can do it over line. We have to provide them with the information that we want into the software. And it's
And training as well of the staff? No.
that's different.
That's
That's part of what they can do. They can upkeep it for us and put all the information in for us. And if there's something that pops up later on that we want added, they can go in and add that. That's the estimate we're waiting on. Is the building of, they give us, Esri will not give us, but sell us this software. But we do not have anybody to put the information in and build it up to put it out there. So this is what Atlas would do for us. And they're very familiar with our GIS system, because they've done a lot of work already.
We have the system, and the assessor has a part-time person who makes sure that their maps are correct. We have the county planner, and the county planner uses what they call that, the layer. And she manages her layer. And this would also kind of allow those, and Greg has a layer. And this would allow for hopefully those layers to be merged in such a way that the data would be accessible in layers to everyone that wanted it.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm just really glad I'm this old.
The process, it's just so nice to be able to have the fingertip, all that information available.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and then, like, for someone who's looking maybe to invest in the area,
Right.
they'd have that right there, and they can input, their information, and they'll be able to find a lot of information about us and this area just by that.
One-stop shopping.
It's a really important thing. Very, very important thing.
So that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Meg.
All right, we also have a letter of resignation that's been submitted by Mr. Jeff Liller from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and a request before us to fill the unexpired term being vacated by Mr. Liller. And we have a recommendation of one of our alternates to fill that, Mr. Barry Connolly. Are there any others being put forward to fill that?
Barry is the only
Unexpired
alternate
term.
we have right now. So.
Yeah, that's the only alternate that the BZA has right now. And the first step is, he has been basically fulfilling that position because Jeff's not been able to make it to the last quite a few meetings. So, it would be the planning commission, which is a separate entity, but it would be our recommendation that you do indeed appoint Barry to that position. And then we do have a list of names, as you know, that we started a committee. Steve and I are two of the three that are on the committee. And that committee is gathering names for alternates for that board, as well as possible modifications to the planning board itself.
I know Barry's kind of interested in serving, and
I believe he
Yes,
is.
going forward once the unexpired term, or once the unexpired term is fulfilled.
He is very knowledgeable, he is a retired attorney, so he is very beneficial, right, to
And
that
it's
position.
land use specialist attorney, like this is his area, and he, like I talked to the chair of the BZA, he was extremely helpful in walking them through step by step, and that was, I think he spent like 6 hours on putting that together for one BZA hearing. Like, I mean, he's good, he's really good, and he didn't want to even consider it, but there's a resignation, and so it opens it up, and I think he would be willing to accept it.
Okay, he's also been very beneficial to the planning commission in the ordinances that we have submitted to you for request for possible consideration. He's put a lot of input into that as well.
All right, I'd accept the motion that Barry Connolly be appointed to fill the unexpired term of Jeff Lillard, and
So moved.
I'd second that. Any further discussion?
And that will leave us right now with no alternates.
Right.
And that's what
You all are working.
Yeah, hopefully after tonight, we have that as a discussion item on our agenda, that we can hopefully make some recommendations for you. Maybe it could even be worked into your work session that you want to have.
And I would certainly hope that the planning commission would direct a letter of thanks to be addressed to Mr. Lillard for his service to the planning commission at that meeting tonight as well. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, 2 ayes, the ayes have it. Wendy, county coordinator.
Chaos coordinator.
I have before me, 2 letters of support and a proclamation. The first letter of support, Dave, I'm gonna let you touch on that. That's the request from Eastern Community College.
Oh,
That Megan
okay.
Webb, since you spoke directly to her.
Yes.
We've,
This is a letter of support for Eastern, in support of a grant that they have, submitted that deals with a local foods development effort, for the, college. And, they just kind of had asked for, first a letter of support. And then, obviously, after the letter of support, they wondered if there might be any kind of contributions in kind or monetary that the county commission might be interested in making. And at this time, we've kind of let the letter of support go forward at this point in time because I'm not sure what we might have either in kind or cash contributions to contribute to this cause until they get the grant funded possibly.
You have any more detail on the local food? The reason I'm asking, so I was up in New York over the weekend and stopped at a really interesting place. Stopped at this place, very conveniently located, so it's called Taste of New York. And evidently, you have to be certified Taste New York to work through this program. But it's providing a way, to have local growers have their foods distributed, so I don't know, I just noticed that, we stopped there, we actually bought some things there. Extremely conveniently located, it was just right in the middle of a median, you just pulled in and pulled right back out, but that's what I was wondering, like, what.
This is a targeted effort for the 8 counties or so that Eastern West Virginia Community and Technical College services. And it's for basically market development and producer development to help supplement some of the ongoing activities that they have with the Potomac Highlands Producers Council, or Growers Co-op. I think it's the Potomac Highlands Producers Co-op that they have operating now. And
Because I do think that there are farmers markets set up around, but we need more of this. We need more of this.
More
type of thing.
opportunities,
More
yeah.
opportunities.
Motion.
I make a motion that we already signed it.
Provide
We
letter.
signed it.
Yeah.
Make a motion that we provide a letter of support for Eastern West Virginia Community Technical College to pursue this.
And I'd second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 2 ayes, the ayes have it.
the next letter of support, was a request from, Michelle Moore Reeves for the Lost River Trails Coalition and the Hardy County Convention, and Visitors Bureau. They actually, are going to apply for, the second phase of that trail money, for the Lost River Trails. And, they just wanted our support with a letter and outlining some of the important topics of that. So that's all I have for that one.
That was for the International Mountain Bike Association grant, the second level, which is that development there. And this is kind of a retroactive since it was required as part of the grant submission, which was September 1. So,
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we approve that, letter of support.
I'd second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 2 ayes, the ayes have it.
And I was made aware that actually August the 21st of this year was National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. We were asked by the County Commission to sign a proclamation recognizing that day, since there are many people affected in and around our community affected by this. I think 2 of you all had signed it, but I just need Stephen to sign it.
Entertain a motion as such.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 2 ayes, the ayes have it.
And this
Motion
is,
carries.
I'm sorry, this is just a discussion. our JAG grant, we had to send in our letter of intent, by last Friday to be, awarded any monies to go ahead and apply for our next round of funding. So we have submitted that for
Is
our,
that for the pro officer?
it is for a one pro officer. That has been submitted, and, what we discussed earlier with the insurance company, still waiting
Wait.
to hear back from that. And also, just to give you guys, an update, the wellness center, the employees, we got the applications out to the employees. We've had a lot of response, so I did drop off, I don't know how many applications, I did drop those off to Morgan, and she was gonna get them worked up. So it actually starts today for the employees to participate, and I still have others to collect or they can drop off as well. So just to give you guys
That's great.
a heads up and let you guys know.
Outstanding. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's all I have.
All righty. We'll back up now since our director of the ambulance authority is here, since he was out on a call, I'm sure, which delayed him somewhat. Derek Hall.
How you all?
Good, how about you? I figured. Thank you, sir.
I'll let you do when you get back.
Okay.
Yeah. We're still doing that, we're still doing that, integrating the board now.
That started today, right?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Good.
We'll touch on that. All right, Derek Hall, Director for the Ambulance Authority. So the following is an update for the HCAA for the month of August. So total expenses for the month, $75,319.47. Total revenue for August, $95,726.19, and that included the $65,000 drawdown from the fee, $29,592.19 for services, and then we had other incomes, $1,134. As far as the vehicles go, 7, 1, 2, 3, and 6 are in service with nothing to report. Chase car is in service with nothing to report, and Serve 3 and Argo are also in service with nothing to report. As far as the building and grounds go, we did receive a letter, official letter from EA Halls stating that November 1st they would be terminating the current rental agreement. So they are moving out. So we decided to increase the rail rate. It was set until November 1st. They did like a payback thing. They did renovations. So there was actually no transfer of funds. And then that was due to expire November 1. And then we revisited and did some research and looked, about bringing up the cost per square foot. The board discussed it. We submitted a letter to them, and it's just their response. So there wasn't really any back and forth on it. They just accepted it and terminated their contract. As far as the county-owned equipment goes, it's all in service as far as we know. Now for some fun, exciting things that we're doing. So starting yesterday, the ACA began providing supplemental staffing to Company 1. We've been working with WVRS members over the last several months to come up with a solution to bring more stability to the system in the Wardensville area. So as it's set currently, the ACA will provide at least one person Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Company 1 is providing us with a schedule of personnel for those hours. We do have it worked out too that in the event that they don't have somebody, we will upstaff to keep a fully staffed crew at a minimum of BLS level in the Wardensville area for those hours. Company one is still responsible, so it'll go back to normal alerting procedures from 1900 to 0700, and then also on the weekends. It is in there that if they choose to do so, in the, the extra hours, say they have somebody, they can request that we leave the person in the station for the 24 hours. It's not really costing us any additional staffing because we already had that third person on, and just what we've done is moved them from Baker to Wardensville, and then Wardensville is now giving us the schedule, so we know Monday through Friday, 7 to 9, or 7 to 7, there will be a crew in the Wardensville area, and also a second crew on that side of the county. Our call volume over the last, I think when we started keeping track in 2017 was a short year. Since 2008, it's doubled. So we're still covering with the same amount of staffing that we were, the double amount, or double amount of calls. So we're hoping this will kind of alleviate it, because now we'll know what they have available, and then we're supplementing that, so that'll give us that additional staffing. Plus, we'll still have our crew in Baker. And also it alleviates the issue of sending everything from Baker to Wardensville, and when we get a call 259 in Matthias, we got to backtrack. So there's going to be some bumps, I'm sure, until we get all the kinks worked out, as with anything new. So we'll keep you updated on it. Like I said, it just started yesterday, so hopefully we'll see how it goes. And then the other thing is the website for the HCA is in development. So we're hoping to get that rolled out before your next meeting. I did want to ask any suggestions that you all would like to see on it. I know the financials.
Right, and how soon will those be posted? Like a month behind, or?
Well, I gotta look. What I'm hoping is,
They automatically upload.
yeah, I think I can work with QuickBooks to put a link on there.
Yeah.
So then, it's just.
Goes right to it.
I'll give you the format, I'll get with you down, you're running QuickBooks.
Mhm.
We'll run it from whatever year ranges we want, and I'll throw it up on this Gov site. And then all you gotta do is put a link. And it'll have all the financials.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just-
Well, what we're working on here with this is that we're moving over, because we're gonna eventually try to integrate, because we're getting a lot of different requests. And there's some information that we can just put out there. So like, we can put out the call numbers, we can put out all that stuff. It's just right there at the touch of a button for them. So we're working on that. And so what we're going to do is give you the link for that. So when they click on that on your website, it just redirects them to ours. And we're hoping to have that in station so we can do all that. So like I said, we want to keep the financials on there in the minutes. I know in the past we've done the annual audit reports. Of course, and then we'll put a little blurb in there that our reports, they run 2 years behind. It's always funny how the state works, because, they give you these deadlines, you beat them, but then they don't hold themselves to them. So,
Yeah.
that's currently where we're still at with, last year's audit, is we're still waiting for the state to give us our approval to move forward. So financial minutes audits. I know there is some call information. We've actually received a few FOIA requests of late, in regards to that. Different, not everything, we can't put everything out there, but we can put because we're working with ImageStream, which is our charting system, to integrate a couple features on the back end. So like the CAD system and stuff like that. So what it'll do is it'll populate the stuff from Paul's office into our system, and it'll break it down, and we'll actually be able to put on like the different zones. So what area? So like, how post offices work. I can't just say Matthias because that covers a large range. I can't just say Wardensville because I turn right out of the station. We get down in the bottom of the settlement. The address changes to Wardensville, even though it's a Company 3 area. So what this system will hopefully do is it'll make the tracking and information that we can provide a little more precise, a little less man hour. And, we'll be able to adjust accordingly and stuff.
Can you include anything on that website that would, and maybe this is what you're talking about right now, average time to someone's home? Do you think we can ever get to the place where we can put that kind of information up?
Well,
Not someone's individual home, but.
well, and that's what we're talking about with the CAD, integrating the CAD system in our charting. Because then again, you gotta look too, it's the types of calls. And that's what we're gonna do with this system, is we'll be able to break down, we should be able to break down, your fire systems and your MBAs. So, I mean, we could put it on there, average time dispatch, from dispatch to en route to, all that stuff. There are systems like that, I've seen them. Well, look, some of that stuff, the way the world goes, I mean, yeah, they'll offer you the world, but you gotta pay for it piece by piece. But yeah, I mean, we'll do what we can. I mean, any suggestions or anything, we're.
Paul, is this data that you provide to us, like, here, HCEAA responded in the month of August to 4 abdominal pain complaints. I mean, is this public?
That would be because
I mean, it doesn't give any kind of,
Where.
yeah, it doesn't say where, doesn't give any information about the outcome, but it does give kind of the types of calls that
Yeah, that'd be a good
you
thing.
get, which obviously is, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure exactly, other than just call volume, what that might provide, but, certainly some of the, like, information that you've been taxed to, or at least been requested of you, here recently regarding, times of service at Matthias or in the Matthias area, that's certainly not that answers a little bit more than you're not in the city anymore, response. So, yeah.
Well, and that's another thing with the Wardensville, working with Wardensville, to try to alleviate the back pressure on the system, which is, and like I said earlier, we won't have to, all the resources won't be going. I mean, Wardensville is a little higher populated, so it is busier. So generally, we'll be drifting that way, and then, we'll get a call on Matthias, and we've got to circle back around for that. So what we're hoping, and like I said, it's going to take some time because the medic is still in Baker. So we're working with the 911 center to maybe not alert the medic on all the calls. It's up in the air, but we're trying to get it to where we have staffing in both areas, and so that not all of the resources are going to one area. We still have them available in the middle to branch off where they need to be.
When you mentioned the calls double, is that all calls or the Wardensville you were speaking to specifically?
Well, they kind of go hand in hand. But, I mean, the total call volume for what we're running as the ambulance authority, it has doubled since 2000.
Total amount is double. That's a
Better, with this system, certainly, to better serve the Wardensville area, is the medic box on the ambulance, or is that something that comes with the medic, if the medic's requested?
Well, that gets scary. So there is those units that are staffed ALS, because Wardensville they have a medic, so they are an ALS level service. They have their own drug boxes. In the past, originally, when the ambulance authority was started, and we were running as just chase medics, we did go on to their roster, so we were able to access their drug boxes. I know I'm still on it, and I believe maybe Nathan. So Nathan and I, in theory, we could still access their drug boxes, administer narcotics. That's really where the hiccup is, the narcotics. So we could administer narcotics, and the paperwork would fall out. But as we grew and moved into our own, responding to our own units, that kind of, we moved away from that process. And then we've kept them on ours. So, with the chase car, we introduced it as an ALS, an actual ALS unit. So when the medic is dispatched, because we know that we have the crew in Wardenville. See, that was the problem before. We didn't know that we had the staffing. But now that we know that we have the staffing within those hours, we can put the medic in the ALS chase car and they can respond up. I mean, we have a bag for them. They'll have a drug box. So what they need as far as that goes, they will have at their fingertips. They'll just pull it out of the vehicle, put it on the unit. And that's a pretty similar model to just about anywhere. It's just a lot cleaner, a lot safer. You're responsible for your meds, and that's what you do. The only other way to do it would be to make everything a county system, and then we would be over that, the drugs and stuff, and then it would just trickle down that way. But with our current structure, the better thing to do is to just leave everything on our units, let them use them, they grab them, take them with them, and then the theory is, unless it's a real bad patient, the person that we have in Warrensville that day will come back to Baker in that chase car and the staff while the medic transports with Company 1. The idea is to keep resources available, as many resources as we can.
Are you gonna put like team members on there? You wanna do that on the website, like people, key people who are.
Oh, you mean organizational chart?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I've been looking at, because, we moved over from, we just had like Rackspace. We moved over to Microsoft. I've moved over to 365, for a couple of reasons. One, with the employees and stuff, we're able to integrate a little better with the OneDrive accesses, so we can create files. I can create files that they have access to, that they can submit stuff, forms, their certs, any information, they can update all that, feed it back to us, and then we still have, and then I have my separate ones. So we're moving towards 365 for that. And the neat thing about 365 is it automatically does the whole chart. So yes, the theory is that we'll put the chart on, it'll have the board members, it'll have the directors. I don't know that we'll put actual employees, but anybody like, so myself, Nathan, and then the board members.
Is there any is our organization able to put out advice to people, like common things you would wish people would know? If we could have that ability, and we just had, some advice out there, like step-by-step things in the case of an emergency or something. I would think that would be helpful. Whatever we're able to legally to put out there.
Well, we can take a little more proactive approach with the Facebook page. We do have a Facebook page. We had one for several years. We just never been real good about it. And that's actually, I believe this minister's going very similar thing. One of the things I'm working on right now is more of the PR, the rollout, to be more, you guys are so, well, we can make that page more active. I know, like, in the past, we've done things like on more of a weekend order and drive and stuff like that. I believe that's what you're talking about.
Things like that, yeah.
Or like stop, drop, and roll. Or,
Yeah, things like that.
Like the little thing for CPR or calling 911. Yeah, so we can, probably what I'll do is move that off of the website, more so is just do a more active campaign on the Facebook page.
Yeah, I know the people that, you already mentioned it, the financials and the minutes. I know that's what I get calls on, to make sure, that's up. That's the one thing.
Well, and we're very, I'm very transparent. I had a gentleman come over, I'll open it. I have to sit there with you, because if you hit a button, it can bleed back through the system. But, I've said it in the past, we had a gentleman show up one day, and, I opened it up, and he was looking at the whole thing, and I'm human, I make mistakes. It wasn't a thing, it was just I put it in the wrong line item. But while we were looking at it together, We found it, we switched the line item, put it in there. So I mean, I welcome
Yeah, sure.
anybody who wants to swing by the office. I mean, I understand that sometimes that's handled. I mean, we work for you, so the public, it's
I like what you're,
Open book.
things you're doing, I really like everything you're working. And it will help us. When I think about those, our call volume is doubled.
Yep.
And we haven't doubled the fee, you know, there's.
Well, and I've mentioned to the board, about it. I mean, for those things, the conversation is gonna have to start happening. I don't wanna blindside you and come in and say, come in one day and say, hey, look, you gotta do this tomorrow, because we're broke, and it's done.
Yeah, right.
But it is a conversation to start thinking within the next year or two, we may need to consider, funding sources. I mean, in the past, we've always been able to supplement. We had COVID, supplemented with that for a while. We do the occasional, doctor's appointment, out of the nursing home, that's supplemental, that's all funding. And we've been able to do that in the past and keep perfectly well. But then again, I mean, now that we're looking into, having to supplement in other areas,
Right.
more heavily, that's going to increase. I mean, as of right now, we haven't had to. This particular move, the way we structured it, hasn't cost us additionally, because we've already had that third person on the staffing. So it's actually just a better use of resource, because this way we can time in, and so it's not really costing us any fuel from the truck to get from Baker to Wardenville. That's about it. But even if it saves us from running an ambulance up there 2 trips, we made money back that day. So yeah, we're working with them. And again, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they'll keep up. If not, it has to be done. Because we've been seeing increasingly again, where West Hardy has had to come over and support the eastern side of the mountain, which is not terrible, but the problem is with the way Hardy County's set up, and we're a little bit prideful too. Once they come over, once they're depleted, that's it. There's nothing else. We don't have a station between us and Gore. The nearest station down the Rio area is Augusta, and they're usually somewhere else in Hanford County. Bergton is not in great shape either, I don't believe. Rockingham County, I mean, we've been back and forth with them, trying to get them to come in, and then of course we have West Hardy. But like I said, once you diminish all these resources, and it happened to us a couple weeks ago. We had a call off, I was on the truck, so we had the crew, we had to supplement a call in Wardensville, and from there it was a trickle effect, because I think we ended up with 3 calls in Baker. We had 3 calls in the Baker area, which pulled 3 trucks from West Hardy, and then they had 1 or 2 calls themselves, and so the system, it did what it did. I mean, I've always said in the past, you can staff 7 crews, and you're going to get a day where you have 8 calls. But in this particular instance, I believe what's happened is Company 1 had an individual that day. And if we had had this in line, then they would have handled that call. We would have been able to handle 1 of our calls, or an additional one. If we hadn't had call off, we'd handle 2 of the 3. But anyway, there's a lot of what ifs, but essentially that boiled down to the system was strained, and we're overrun. It just happened. So we're trying to alleviate that.
We did get that, our information sheet sent in with that funding that they're going to use to determine if we're eligible. Following that Senate bill.
Now, have they figured out how they're going to replenish that?
Let me think here. Let's see. We did have this discussion.
So I know originally when I brought it up, or when we discussed it, the problem was that we noticed that, it's a good idea. For how long? Because they put they invested money into it, but they haven't come up with a way on the long term.
Long-term funding source, like the continue fund, yeah, it's gonna be and that's what, where we're at right now, they seem to do that with everything. It's kind of part of the course where you don't have these long-term funding solutions, you just have band-aids being put on things. It's with a lot of things, at the state level.
I understand.
They're doing that, and, so I don't really know. That came up with at the MSAC meeting as well, is whether you could really count on it.
Well, that's the thing, until it becomes until they come up with long-term solutions to the funding,
Yeah,
it's not something you're going to be able to rely on.
yeah.
Because what will happen is you'll increase it, I can't take the money back once we give it to them, as a pay raise. So then, what do we do in 2 years, when we're like, the pot's empty? Because I know with our numbers, we were compared to Grant Hampshire out of West Virginia, but we were also, the way that they set the form up, we were allowed to compare with, now Shenandoah is not too much, but you have Rockingham, you have Frederick County, and Mendon.
Yeah.
And Frederick County on the other end is, they're next to some heavy hitters.
Right.
But I do know that we're looking across the state. I believe I saw one for Oxford County the other day, they're up to $30 an hour. So, that's another thing we're gonna have to revisit. But again, like I mentioned to the board the other week, the thing is, we can get pay raises. The guy beside us is gonna give a pay raise. It's a never-ending cycle. So at some point, we gotta figure out what, you gotta do something different than the money to set yourself apart. Be it an incentive of some sort, a benefit of some sort. So that's the angle we're looking at also, is what can we do on the other end to make it a more lucrative option. I know right now we are having trouble staffing part-time. That's because they're going to Jefferson or other places on their days off to work. And they can make $8, $9, $10 on the hour comparatively. But we are in a little better shape. It's because of our proximity to the east, whereas some of the guys that are west of us, some of the counties, they're struggling a little bit more.
Their county commission has worked real hard with EA Hogs to try to get that unused space in the building utilized, and do you think maybe a call from us to see if they'd be interested, since you haven't heard anything?
They submitted a letter,
I
but they never tried to renegotiate it. If you like, it never hurt.
Because they weren't paying.
Well, so the way it was set up is they came in, there was that big room. They came in, they renovated it. I believe the cost came out to about $40,000 or something. And then whatever the rate was set at, it was set to deduct that much per month. And the way the timeline worked out was about November. It was like 900. Was it 600?
I forget the old price.
Yeah. Give me a second. This is why I love wondering.
I'm just wondering where they're gonna go.
Well, so,
Because their space is limited.
well, unofficially, what I've heard is, they're going back to where they were. They're putting them back in, where they came from. Give me just a second.
It sounded like the employees kind of liked it.
Employees did, and management, I guess, has never came back with anything, which I was surprised when we gave them that, they didn't come back and say, can we negotiate this price or whatever. But they never sent back anything except what he just got, where they out. And I think it was Jaybird talked to with their employees, he had talked to management.
Yeah. I'm just curious. They, like I say, they kind of changed their direction with a piece of property that they had agreed to purchase from RDA, to expand their facilities. in the Baker area. And I'm wondering if this is kind of along in that same realignment.
You have to wonder if they need the space, didn't have space before for this group, then how they have space now. Because they haven't built anything.
Yeah,
They
that's.
took over some on-medical buildings, but I don't think they're moving any staff there.
So it was 41,000 was the payback. The rent was set at 9,000 a month. Or 9,000, sorry, yes, 900 a month. And then we, suggested, and it was for 2,300 square feet. Was it 0.72? Whatever it was, so we tried to bring it more in line with, and we didn't wanna go too high with it. And then, so we increased, to a little over 2,000 a month. So yeah, it was originally 0.2 or 0.72, per square foot, and we just increased it to 1.75. And then when we were doing our research for that type of property, it was anywhere from like, $1.25, $1.50 per square to, $13. So I mean, there was a very wide range there. So, we just brought it up to $1.75 per square foot.
How will this affect you though? So they're terminating, but they weren't paying, so.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah, I mean,
Are you plan to look for someone to rent this space?
We weren't really, unless you guys have an idea. I know that we could use the additional space, not all of it, but we could use some of it.
Okay.
But even then, if there's somebody that needs it, I would write the agreement a little different next time. Cause we were responsible for everything.
Actually, we should be saving money.
Well, yeah, they're not gonna,
So you guys are paying utilities?
yeah, with the AC and all that stuff. But then again, the lights aren't that much. They had their own thing. They ran all that stuff over from the Hall's building next door.
Okay.
So they piped the data lines and all that.
They have power outlets and stuff.
But yeah, they use our power. But as far as the rest of it goes.
I guess curious minds want to know.
Yeah, I
Might be worth phone call.
personally, I don't have, I can't speak for it. I don't see the benefit.
It was a pretty big, now,
It was about $1 jump,
it was a pretty big jump at one time.
but
No, really?
come on.
Were they, but it was in, so they were gonna need to pay this now though.
Yeah, starting in November, is when it timed out, they would start paying the
The only thing I can see was a pretty big jump in 1 month, and I don't know if any year would have changed it. We don't know, you know. Well, they didn't come back, so why didn't they come back, you know?
Oh, that's, yeah. It was actually the day after they received it, they started moving people out.
So they've been relocating people since.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm not sure that anybody's actually in it today. They may be out already, I'm not sure. But we're not doing anything until November 1st. Which is what that's what their letter said, that they were terminating. Actually, I have that letter too.
Did we see that? Yeah, we saw a copy of that.
Oh, okay, so they, just to notify us that November 1st, they will be ending their contract with the authority. They'll no longer need the office space that they currently lease from us. So, it doesn't even say anything about the increase, it just says they no longer need it in the letter, so.
Good deal. Thanks, sir.
You all have anything else for me?
Yes. Door it off.
Okay.
Clerk Field.
Yes, sir.
I believe you're next on.
Nice to relax. Didn't you notice that?
I could tell.
Oh my God. Oh, order our injections to the state of Dave Robert Ewing. Ewing.
That has has met on Friday, therefore,
Yes, sir.
I entertain a motion the same.
So moved.
All right, been properly moved, I second it. Is there any further discussion on the state, David Robert Ewing, hearing none, proceed to vote, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, 2 ayes, the ayes have it, motion carries.
I have an in-house budget revision for the county commission. We move $165,000 from 456 to 568, which is contributions to cover expenses for West Hardy and the Wellness Center money we gave to the Wakefield State.
Okay.
Say it's 165.
Yeah.
We have,
Unclaimed.
request for an in-house budget revision to the county commission line item for $165,000 to cover expenses for West Hardy and the Wellness Center.
So moved.
And I'll second it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, 2 ayes, the ayes have it.
Okay. We have, this is for secure rural schools funding. You have to have an election, the commission has to elect to receive, secure rural schools communities act funds, and then how they're going to, what are the percentages they're going to allow for Title II and Title III, and how much they set aside for those projects if they do decide to. Last year, you elected to receive, I'll let you both take a look at that. It's gonna be, there's what you did last year. You elected to receive those funds, and then you elected to not set any aside to keep the whole 17,000 or whatever it happens to be.
The secure rural schools funding comes from the, basically a PILT, payment in lieu of taxes, that we receive because of the George Washington National Forest land that we have in Hardy County. And so we receive that money under the Secure Rural Schools Act in lieu of taxes for that land that we have. So
That's something Congress votes on every year.
and they vote on it every year.
Whether they have it or not.
We've done things differently with that in the past, because there was maybe a more active, group that was dealing with that on a state and regional level. However, that group has been quiet in the last several years. And I'm not sure whether that was due to COVID or whether that was something that kind of changed in the plan. But, looking at the way that we allocated that, or at least, put forward that in the past, do you have any recommendations for any changes?
I do not.
And, since it appears to be the same, I go ahead and entertain a motion that we elect to receive the funding from the Secure Rural Schools and Communities Act funding, and at this time allocate 0% to Title I and Title II, and 0 for the rest of that, so just to receive the Rural Schools Act funding and use that accordingly. Second.
Okay.
Any of those discussion?
Yeah,
He signed that one, yeah. He just needs this one here.
Yes,
We
yes.
probably need to check the appropriate boxes here.
Yeah.
And
0.
then 0, and then 0, 0,
Very good.
0.
Good deal.
All right. With those, keeping it the same as last year, any further discussion? Proceed to vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, 2 ayes, the ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you. That takes take care of me.
That takes care of you. Yes, sir.
Over the weekend, Mary and I entertained Keith and Tammy May at the general store. They have just finished their house in, Tomacola. Tomacola, half the houses are in Pendleton and half the houses are in Harding. Theirs is in Harding. Keith is the president of Klein May, Real Estate, and the president of Cottonwood Commercial Real Estate in Harrison. And, we got talking over the weekend, and at some point down the line, if y'all are interested in meeting, Keith May, I just bring him by, have him come by around 11:30, 12 o'clock and say hello. Whenever you two are together, or three or whatever. But he's a happy guy. Really nice guy.
We have a number of those emerging situations where the properties in one half of the development are in one county, and the properties in the other half of the development are in the other county, and they have a couple of different zoning or planning, and or no planning or zoning, or no zoning, have planning, but they don't have any zoning. And so it does create some interesting conversation.
A friend of mine who's up there.
Oh,
He just figure out who he owes taxes. He didn't know.
Understood. All right, we also have before us the minutes of the August 1st meeting, regular meeting, and also the August 22nd special meeting. Exonerations, settlements, consolidations, orders, payroll register, the clerk's report of wills admitted and executors appointed, and the clerk's report of administrators, curators, and committees appointed before us. The amount of the payroll for August 1st through 15th amounted to $106,728.58, and for August 16th through 30th, $98,463.92. I would make a motion that we receive the minutes as presented and all the other things just mentioned. Second, either way. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 2 ayes. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Do we have an amount for the jail bill for August? Nope. Okay, not yet. That bill has not yet. This is July. July's bill was $31,769.82, and that was in the orders presented to us this morning that we just passed. The farmland preservation fee for the month of August collected $21,544.60. We have at least one person on the phone, Ray, or one person has been on the phone as the music stopped, but I don't hear anything further. Sir, you came in and joined us. We're glad to have you with us. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Yes, so my name is Brandon Angel. I'm actually the district rep for Congressman Alex Mooney. I'm sure y'all remember Dan Neff. He used to come in. He's retired now. So I've just taken in for him, but then I just brought some of my business cards if we can do anything for in our office. We just moved to the Charlestown office.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's nice meeting all of you.
Great. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Ready and here, Brandon.
Oh, Brett? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please.
Card there in front too.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being with us today.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Clerk, I see nothing more on our agenda that we need to take up today. Is there anything that I am aware of other than the 1:30 state hearing for the Albrights? Is there any other business come before the county commission in this regular session?
Just a question, did we set a time for the public hearing?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, I did not break that down. Do we
I-
need to set that work session?
Yes, get your calendar out and take a look. I will mention the fact that the county commission has been working, making phone calls regarding the closing of our DaVita Dialysis Center. We continue to have conversations with state and regional folks about the closing of that dialysis center. We've also put some calls in to at least Senator Manchin and Senator Capito. Don't believe we've reached out to Congressman Mooney yet, but that we're still looking for some additional information. And I think while we've been in session this morning, I received a call back from April, who's with WVU Hospitals, which provides the physician services to the current contractor, which is DaVita. And I'm hoping she has some additional information for that. We in Hardy, Grant, and Hamilton counties are experiencing serious drought. I don't know that we have advanced to the critical, but I would say we are close. We have reports of several farmers hauling water, feeding hay, pasturing what would have been second cut, and the county commission is going to be making a few phone calls to USDA, the Department of Agriculture, and others to make sure that this information is known for our producers. We understand that neighboring states have one of our close counties to us has imposed water restrictions in the state of Virginia. I look at Director Lewis and see if there are any other reports of water concerns being received by the Office of Emergency Management at this time.
No, we haven't received any, but I think we're more critical, maybe Hampshire and some of them, because that way you go, the greener the grass and stuff is.
Yes.
So we've really been hit with it.
And remind everyone of the Corridor H public hearing, which has been called by the Department of Transportation, which will be held from 5 to 8 p.m. on September 21st, coming up here at the War Memorial Building in Wardensville, and that will be for the purpose of hearing comments on the leg of Corridor H from Wardensville to the Virginia state line.
We got a couple more handouts if anybody would.
Yes, we do have some handouts. And I guess some of the big news is the merging of our local Summit Community Bank with Burke Herbert out of Virginia and elsewhere. So that merger of these banking institutions will be something that we'll all be watching, since the county and some of us as private citizens do have deposits and holdings with the Summit Community, existing Summit Community Bank as this merger goes forward. There isn't any further business to come before the county commission this morning. I entertain a motion to be adjourned. Second, no further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Hey, see this? This report's on your website. You will. Don't forget that. Don't doubt all those steps. Okay. I think we're back. Awesome. June 30th this year. That opens. Good. And. Okay. Have great hours here. Brandon, is your phone number the same as your predecessor?
Dan's, no, it is not.
Well, I've got Dan in my phone. I better change that number.
Yeah, that is, he's enjoying retired life now, so.
That's good. He deserves it.
Yeah, he was very busy all the time.
Yes, he was. No question about it.
Yeah, you should have my personal cell phone number on here as well, my card, so.
Yeah, I went ahead. I wanted to mention the fact that we are trying to work through this. They gave a 30-day notice on closing of our dialysis center. So for the 25 or 6 people that are reliant upon that, for life. We are scrapping to see if we can get, another contractor in there to continue to provide that service here, because some folks travel as much as, an hour to get here, and the next closest facility is, located at Kaiser, which is probably another 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic from here. So, that's an ongoing concern for us.
Yeah, yeah, so I was gonna ask how far away would they have to be traveling otherwise, if they're going all the way over Kaiser, that's a distance, and it's already on dialysis, they might have other problems anyway.
Absolutely, and, you know, a couple of them, had even told one of the workers there, well, we'll just go home and die. And we said, that's certainly not ours. We don't want anybody to have that as the only other option for us. So, there is, we understood when we conversed last week that, Prenesium, or it's another company that does the same thing as DaVita, and in the same business. They were interested in, talking about taking it over. However, we haven't heard anything more at this time. So I'm gonna make a call back here for Yeah.
So is there anything that we can do, obviously we do like support for grants or funding, try to keep the dialysis thing going, get some more federal funding for it. But yeah, just let me know what I do on my end.
We have your number.
Yeah, you got my number, and email, so.
We can track you down one way or the other, right?
I'm not too far, I live out in, Kearney, so outside Martinsburg anyway, so I ain't that far away.
Nope, not at all.
Greg, somewhere
I
up
don't know if
next,
you knew, our county commission meetings are typically